Heavy Bag Heroes, where a guy who only hits the heavy bag in his garage gives you the greatest and latest takes on UFC. Man, 6 weeks off. Might have been even longer than that. I don't even know if I did a podcast for the last fight night. Was getting ready, geared back to come back for UFC 324. Was going to do a review, recap. Ended up having some technical difficulty issues. Really wish I did. My initial picks, I probably would have gone 2 for, 5 fights on the main card. I think the only ones I got right were that Rose Namajunas fight and Justin and Patty. Almost didn't get Justin and Patty right. I'll do a quick recap of UFC 324 and some of my thoughts before we move on into the episode. I'm going to absolutely raw dog UFC 325. Haven't been looking at stuff. I really don't even know who's all on the main card besides Volk and Diego Lopez. But I got a lot of thoughts. Got a lot of thoughts on that fight in particular. But it's been busy. Life's been busy. Working a lot recently, a whole lot. And actually about to transition to another project. And so that's going to start up. It's a whole ordeal. Nonetheless, we're here. My love for UFC has just been completely reawakened, and I'm very happy about it. I used to, whenever I got into the adult world, I started my career, I used to live in an apartment by myself, and almost religiously, I would come home from work pretty late, eat dinner, work out, and then eat dinner and just watch UFC fights. And I haven't done that in a long time. And after this month, I've just been like really itching to watch some fights. Some of my favorites being pretty much all of Max Holloway's fights. They're absolutely insane. And I could talk about Max Holloway and why he's one of the greatest fighters. Should go down as like a top 5 of all time. Maybe controversial. I don't think it is. I think it's pretty accurate. Anyways, forgot what we were talking about. Oh, UFC 324. Justin, the Highlight Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Absolutely bonkers fight. The whole card was pretty good. Like I said, I think I only got 2 of my picks correct. Do not tell me whatsoever. I'm actually thinking about getting back into betting on fights. But, yeah, holy smokes. That was a great fight. Quick notes. Got a lot of respect for Paddy Pimblett. A ton of respect for Paddy Pimblett. And the reason being, I've always found this kind of really interesting. When guys really start to get beat up and they really start to get hurt, they tend to default and stay away from the more, I don't know what the word is. I don't want to say skillful. Just some of their other weapons. They tend to start to focus on one weapon in particular. Like, for instance, I'm going to use Paddy in the Michael Chandler fight for an example. When Chandler started getting his butt whooped and was really like hurting, he resorted back to just looking for that huge right hand. He'd try and, it was pretty clear he stopped using his jabs. He stopped using his leg kicks. He kind of abandoned the game plan to wrestle or whatever he was going to try and do, and just was really looking for big bombs. That's kind of like Michael Chandler's go-to. And this happens with a lot of fighters, I feel like. When they start to get hurt, they start defaulting to like just what is at the base level of their fighting foundation, right? What they know best. And Paddy got hurt bad enough that he could have and easily resorted to that, which I don't really know what it is for him. It's definitely not boxing. But he continued to all right, let me rephrase that. For example, when a guy gets hurt really bad, like Michael Chandler or Paddy Pimblett in this last fight, they tend to start really looking for counters. Like they back up. They really don't want to be aggressive forward. They start to back up and they just look for that big counter right hand or some sort of big counter punch. Where Paddy started to do that after he got hurt, and then he started having some success on the feet, and then started implementing his kicks again, and then, he's landing punches, and he was able to get back to his full wheelhouse of abilities, and that just, like, to me, I gained a lot of respect for that, because Gaethje had him hurt pretty bad and was still coming after him, and he just kept pushing into the fire. So hats off to Paddy. That was awesome. I'm actually really excited to what is going on here? I'm actually really excited to keep watching him. Paddy Pimblett, yes. He genuinely earned a lot of respect. Really excited to keep watching him, as I think this experience will do a lot for his next couple fights, and he's going to be pretty scary. Obviously, he'll go in a lot more confident, but I think these kind of other up-and-comers who haven't faced this freaking nightmare that is Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, and Dustin Poirier, I think he'll do pretty well against him. I believe he'll get to the title. He's kind of got some of that Dana White privilege. So I think he'll definitely get to the title. But yeah, Justin Gaethje, holy smokes, man. Nothing we haven't seen before on his end. He did seem a little slower. And I don't know. People were saying it's because he had a staph infection and he was on antibiotics. Don't know how true that is. But man, he just knows how to get to the mark. I think I said this on a previous recording. I was recording this podcast and talking about this, and then something happened, Wi-Fi glitch. Anyways, hopefully I haven't said this already. I don't think I gave Justin Gaethje the respect that his fight IQ deserves. And part of that is because he has a huge tendency to dip off to his right when he tries to slip. And I was worried about that going into the fight because it feels like a very easy thing to draw out of him and a very easy thing to attack. And so there came a point, he keeps seeing this. He's throwing uppercuts. He's starting to throw kicks. He lands several. They were like, oh, is Gaethje hurt? Make you really tighten up. But then later on in the 4th and 5th round, it was like, at least to me, it felt like it was apparent that it was like, Patty, if you're going to get the knockout, it's going to have to be by him ducking his head and you throwing a knee, something huge to get him wobbled. And it was so crazy because like Patty was, I wouldn't say he was in desperation mode. He was because he was losing the fight. But there's a point where you could just tell Patty was just looking for something. And he'd throw the feint. Justin would duck real hard. And he's like, okay, I know that's there. And there were several times kind of earlier in the fight where Patty was able to get to him with that, with an uppercut, a knee or something. But it knew that it was like he knew he needed something big here. And so in that 5th round, he threw like several feints. Justin would duck really hard, and it's like Patty's like, all right, gotcha. I'm going to throw another feint, and I'm going to throw the knee or kick. And there were several times Patty throws the feint, Justin doesn't even move, and Patty's already throwing the knee, and then Justin just comes over the top with a 1-2 and just smacks him. And there were several instances of that happening. Patty throws the feint, Justin ducks. All right, I'm going to pull it out of him again. Here's another feint, goes to throw a kick, and then he gets clocked with the right hand. It was incredible fight IQ. Like he knew. I can't remember if it was like an interview he did afterwards. Someone was talking about how hard he ducks his head, and he's like, "You guys don't think I'm smart? Like I know how to fight." And it was kind of a funny little comment that he made. But UFC 324 was an absolute heater. Several fights did not go the way I thought they would, especially that Derek Lewis fight. But it is what it is. But we're just gonna go ahead and blindly get into UFC 325. Like I said, I have not seen this card besides a few of them. I really don't know who's all on this card. I haven't done any research. We're just going to absolutely raw dog this. And first fight of the night on the main card, Quillen Salkild versus Jamie Malarkey. Haven't seen Malarkey in a while. Salkild has been a recent up-and-comer who has just been murdering people in the prelims, getting his first main card fight. It's a lightweight bout, so I believe Jamie Malarkey's going down. I think he's been at welterweight. So this is going to be interesting. Salkid's on a tear. Jamie Malarkey has not been doing as well. I'm going to pull up their stats real quick. Jamie Malarkey record. I love UFC stats. Shout out UFC stats. Yeah, Jamie's been in the UFC for a while, since October 2019. Win-loss. Yeah, he's 1-2 and 1 out of 3. Sorry. Yeah, 1-2 in his last 3. Got knocked out in 2 of those. Unanimous decision win over Rolando Bedoya. But it's going to be interesting. If you know UFC lore, then this is an interesting fight for Quillen. This is countryman versus countryman, Australia versus Australia. Quillen has not yet fought someone from his same country. And if you know UFC Twitter, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, quick thoughts. Quillen, I think that he's going to get the win. I think that Jamie's kind of he may be on his last legs, and Quillen is just on an absolute tear. Phenomenal striker. Clearly has power with the hands and the feet to knock dudes out as he's been starching guys. Let's go look at it right now. He's got 1 loss in his professional career. He's 4-0 in the UFC. First fight was a unanimous decision. Second fight, first round knockout. third fight, unanimous decision, and his last fight was a good fight up until the kick. Just beautiful head kick. A first round knockout, 230 in. So this is going to be a good fight. I think Quillen gets a knockout or TKO. Not sure how exactly, but I think he's gonna do it. They're both 6 foot, 75 inches reach each. I don't know why I said that. It was weird. Yeah, I think they don't have the odds up for this stuff. Oh my gosh, never mind. They have the odds up. Quillen Salkid is minus 1,200 favorite to Jamie Malarkey's plus 700. Bet the house. If you don't know anything about betting odds, I think I've talked about this in a previous episode. To win $100 on Quillen Salkid, you have to bet $1,200. It's a very safe bet, obviously, right? You win $100, you know. But if you bet $100 on Jamie Malarkey, he's plus 700. You win $700. So because he is the underdog, you're obviously taking a risk by putting money on him because he's the underdog. And so the reward is much bigger if you bet on an underdog. But there's a reason there's an underdog, and there's a reason there's a risk. So that's huge. Those are huge odds. I haven't seen odds like that in a minute. Then we got number 12 versus number 15 of the heavyweight bout, Tai Tuivasa versus Taliesin Teixeira. Our boy Ty is the underdog, plus 275 to Taliesin Teixeira's 350. I think that's right. Man, Tai Tuivasa, how long of a losing streak is he on right now? Makes me sad. I love the guy. He's lost his last 5. So he lost, I don't think it was a title fight. Yeah, he went on a 5-5 win streak. Nothing but knockouts. Was taking dudes down. Lost to Cyril Gane. Lost to Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, Tybura, Yarinza Rosenstrike. Not good. Not good. Sad for the guy. Taliesin, I think his last fight was just a Derek Lewis, but he was knocking guys out first round. Justin Toffo was a notable one. Arthur Lopez, don't know who that guy is. But yeah, I think he's already gotten one of the what are they called? What is Izzy? What country is he from? What is Izzy? That might have been the most racist thing I could have said. What country is he from? New Zealand? Yeah. I think Ty's from New Zealand. But, yeah, I got Taliesin Teixeira in this. I'm surprised the odds are that close, to be honest. I figured it would be pretty heavy. But Tai Tuivasa has taken a ton of time off. So maybe he's doing well. I mean, his last fights weren't even really, let's see, 2 fights in 24, 1 fight in 23, 3 fights in 22. Yeah, he should have taken more time off after he lost to Cyril Gane. So, yeah, I've got Taliesin Teixeira in this one. Probably first round KO. Yeah, that's what I'm going to go for. First round KO. And then Rafael Fiziev. Hold on a second. Look at this hair. Look at this perm my boy's got. Number 9. Rafael Fiziev versus number 14, Mauricio Rufy. This is rightfully so a very close fight. Plus 100, underdog, Rafael Fiziev. Minus 125, Mauricio Rufy. I like that a lot. 4-inch reach difference, Mauricio Rufy with the advantage. I understand why they have it as a plus 100 to minus 125 because he's been doing really good. I think he might have actually lost his last fight. Yeah, lost his last fight to Benoit Saint Denis, rear naked choke. Kind of interesting after he went 4-0, nothing but knockouts. So I think he's coming up. Rafael Fiziev coming off the knee injury, ended up fighting Justin Gaethje. And that's tough. It's tough to fight Justin Gaethje on short notice, coming off your knee injury. Survived all of it, though. I don't know how he does it. He's a beast. But Mauricio Rufy, I don't know. I think I've got to go with Mauricio Rufy on this one. I think it's going to be a striking masterclass. If there's let me look at this real quick. Yeah, if you don't know, now you know. This is the fight to watch on the card. This is going to be unbelievably technical, as Rafael Fiziev is a master Muay Thai boxer. So is Mauricio Rufy, or maybe kickboxer for him. I don't think they may have their fighting styles in their bio. I can never remember. Lightweight division. Yeah. Anyways, 11 wins by knockout, 8 first-round finishes for Rufy. Yeah, I think this is your If you don't know, now you know. I'm going to take. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm taking Rafael Fiziev by decision. It's a 3-round fight. I think he's going to throw more volume because Rufy's going to look for the knockout. He kind of fights like Cheeto. He doesn't really do a whole lot until he finds his moment to have that big KO. I think Rafael Fiziev will beat up the legs, beat up the body for sure, have a lot of success, probably do more volume. So Rafael Fiziev, not split decision. I think it's going to be a unanimous decision. Win, take it to the bank. Next fight, Dan Hooker, after coming off the title, fighting Benoit Saint Denis, who just came off an insane first-round finish of Beneil Dariush. So he's feeling hot. He's on a winning streak right now after not doing super great there for a while. He's 3-fight win streak. Lost to Renato Moicano. That was a tough one to watch. If you go back and watch that, that's a very hard one to watch. I need to go rewatch that. I'm pretty sure the first round, Benoit got on his back, and Renato was on top, and I think it was literally 4 minutes of just ground and pound. Then he got knocked out by Dustin Poirier before that. One of Dustin's coldest moments. I think I give this to Benoit. I think it's going to go to a decision. I think Benoit's probably going to do more damage and a little more skillful than Dan Hooker. I think Dan Hooker is going to absorb a lot of damage. I think he's going to take a lot of damage but put on a great fight. But I just think Benoit probably... I don't necessarily think he's going to walk him down. I think he could potentially be a TKO by Benoit. But I think it's going to be a decision. I think it's just going to be a bunch of big stand and bang, which is a great fight to watch. But I'll still take Rafael Fiziev. Mauricio Rufy is my fight to watch. If you're going to have one, and then get into the main event. Okay, let's talk about the politics of this first. This doesn't make sense to me. And let me tell you why. It kind of makes sense to me, but it doesn't really make sense to me. We've got the featherweight division. We've got Mosavari Volov, who has not fought in God knows how long. Sitting at number 1. Diego Lopez is number 2, rightfully so. Yair Rodriguez is number 3 somehow, off of a win of Patricio Pitbull. Don't really understand that. They've got Lerone Murphy. Aljamain Sterling, throwing you in there, number 5. I think that's a rightful spot for Sterling. Volk and Diego have already fought. Very close decision win to Volk. He retained he got the belt back after it had been vacated by Ilia Topuria. What I really would have liked to see, give Lerone Murphy the title shot because he's been active and he's been dominating. Do Diego Lopez versus Mosavari Volov because they fought once. Diego fought on short notice. I believe it was his first fight in the UFC. I'm going to go check this out. I'm going to back check myself. Second fight in the UFC. Short notice. May of 2023. It's a split or unanimous decision loss to Mosavar Volov. They've been yapping at each other on Twitter and interviews, and Diego's like, if I get another chance at that, I'm going to get that one back. I don't see why you wouldn't do Diego Lopez versus Mosavari Volov. Use all of that in the promo of them talking crap to each other because they have. It's been like back and forth for a while. You do Lerone Murphy, give him the shot at the belt, give Volk someone new. He's going out. Let him freaking beat these young guys up. And, I don't know. Just, it's like, this is kind of, I can't remember where else I said this. I guess I said this in a previous podcast about UFC 324. This just feels like they abandoned the sport aspect because they're like, we're going Paramount Plus. We need big names. Big names. Diego Lopez is a big name. He's gained a lot of stardom. I would say out of that list I just read, he's got the most stardom and probably the most name recognition out of Volov and Lerone Murphy. Like, I understand why they're doing this. It just is like such a strange... It didn't make sense. I think they just should have done something different. But this fight feels put together because of the Paramount deal. That's what it feels like. It does not feel like it was put together in the name of sport, if you will. But I don't know. Like, Diego goes out, gets a little more experience, gets a little more confidence. Volk hasn't fought since that fight. You know, watching that fight last night, Volk looked great. He looked phenomenal. But Diego Lopez, like once he started finding his footing and landing his punches, it became a closer fight. But I mean, Volk looked like Volk of old. So I imagine Volk is going to play a lot more safe. I mean, he played pretty safe in that fight. But there were like things that worked for Volk, like the trips, the shooting for the takedowns, and I think he's got to use those things to his advantage with Diego and then just not, you cannot get into a stand and bang with Diego Lopez. He just loves that. Every time he got popped with a punch, he's like, come here, get over here, Volk. So I don't know. I think Alex retains the belt. It didn't feel great whenever I said that. Just because I'm like, I don't know. But also it's just like you don't want to see Diego go for the belt twice and lose it twice. It's just like stuff like this. They're killing story arcs for these great fighters. It's so annoying because it just doesn't make sense. It's just like, I don't know why they do the rank. Like, what's the point of the ranking system if you're just going to put the guys in there that you think are going to draw the most attention? So, yeah, freaking crazy matchup. I'm excited for it. I'm excited that we got, back-to-back events. I forgot. I don't even know what's coming up after this. We got a fight night February 7th. The following weekend. Then we get a week off. Then we got Strickland versus Hernandez. That'll be fun. Toyota Center in Houston. Let's go, baby. H-Town. So that'll be good. And then March 7th. I don't know why he does this to us. I don't know why he does this. He did Holloway versus Oliveira. He did Holloway versus Gaethje. He did Holloway versus Dustin. You did... What else have you done? Let's see what else he did. Just drives me insane. Just puts together these fights that... You're going to make me pick between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira? I mean, I'm going to pick Max, but... No, I want past events. Here we go. There aren't as many as I thought. There's a lot of UFC last year. Good grief. Yeah, Dustin versus Max. Why would you do that to me? I wouldn't say I really like Topuria. I think Topuria's still in his villain arc when he fought Oliveira. That one didn't hurt. Yeah, Volkanovski Lopez won. Like, what the frick are we doing, man? What are we doing? I forgot what else he's done, but it's sinful what he's done. I don't even remember like half of these fights because this has been so long. Yeah, I'm pretty pumped for UFC 325. I think it's going to be a good fight. Getting excited about UFC again. Performance bonuses have changed, which are awesome. So if you get fight of the night or performance of the night, you get $100K. Every finish and knockout gets $25K, regardless of performance of the night. Like whether you get one of those other bonuses. So that's pretty awesome. I'm glad for that. Also, talking about just the structure of the Paramount Plus system, I love it. I don't know why people are hating on it. Like, how did you think they were going to make their money in these events if they didn't run ads during them? Like, I do think that they should bring back the corner coaching. I love that stuff. It just makes it more intimate. And you're like, okay, what do I need to look for this next round? Or what does he need to look for, right? Even though me and my perfect coaching expertise, I know exactly what they should be doing in my analysis of their fight. But I don't hate it. I'm really excited that I got to pay $60 for a streaming service with all these movies and TV shows that I have not seen or haven't watched in a long time. And now I get to watch UFC, and it's like I just paid $60 for the year instead of like $1,200 whenever I did the math if you pay for every pay-per-view. I probably paid around $1,000 because I think I missed like, except for last year. Last year I like missed the whole first 2 quarters of UFC because I just didn't really care about it. And I would just forget it was even happening. Yeah, I think it was like I was averaging probably. I could go back and look at my budget and see what I was averaging for UFC. It was close to $1,000, I would imagine, because I do not do crack streams. I'm terrified of getting hacked. So this is great. I mean, I really don't know how you like. Of course, they're going to run ads. People were like, I wonder how they're going to make their money that they're making off of pay-per-views. But I'm like, UFC makes plenty of money. They just got a $7 billion deal. Like, well, it is what it is. But these ads, whatever. Who cares? Not a big deal. But yeah, I like it. I do like it. I think their promotions are way better than what was going on. Like they during the fight they showed a commercial for the BMF belt, but they didn't even show Oliveira. They were just like showing that like Max Holloway is the BMF, and it was like this sick montage of him just beating the crap out of people and knocking Gaethje out. Very sad for Gaethje, but that was literally the coldest moment. I'm gonna clear my throat and say that again. Max Holloway's knockout of Justin Gaethje in UFC 300 was the coldest moment in sports history. I don't think that there is a moment in sports history, fighting, basketball, baseball, football, there is not a colder moment in sports history than Max Holloway's knockout of Justin Gaethje in UFC 300. You're talking the most anticipated event of the year, UFC 300, the 300th pay-per-view card for the UFC, lined top to bottom with champions, former champions. Every fight is a fight you want to watch. You see names, name recognition all over the place. The biggest stage, he dominates for 5 rounds. Could have walked the clock out, rode off into the sunset as the BMF. 10 seconds remaining in the fight. And he says, I'm up on the scorecards, Justin. Stand right here. Right here, sir. They go at it. Ba, 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 ba. Back up. Points back down. Ba, 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 ba. Bang! Huge right hand. Sends Justin to the canvas with 1 second left. And he is awarded the knockout for the fight. On the biggest stage for the UFC ever. UFC 300. If it was UFC 301, wouldn't have been as big of a sports moment. If it was UFC 299, it was UFC 300, and he delivered. And for that, he deserves 50% of that Paramount deal. That was genuinely the most. If you have a more insane sports moment than that, where like everything is on the line, he's coming up to 155. Everyone said he's only lost at 155. Comment below if there's a colder sports moment than that, because I cannot think of one. It was just absolutely insane. Max Holloway is a freak. Like I said earlier, I've been coming home and like watching fights, and I was watching the Arnold Allen fight tonight. And it is just unbelievable what he is able to do. It is crazy that he is just, his volume and his accuracy is just nuts. Like, obviously the Calvin Kattar fight was one of the greatest performances you will ever see in the UFC. If you want to see just a masterclass in striking and volume striking, go watch Calvin Kattar versus Max Holloway. It delivers every time. This fight, Arnold Allen versus Max Holloway, is incredible all the way up until the bell of the 5th round. You know, Max gets a huge knockdown at the end. But great fight. Arnold Allen was coming up. And then one of my favorites that I have gone back and watched probably 10 times, Max Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. That fight, it's in the Apex. I watched it last night. That's why it's fresh on the brain. That fight in the Apex, it's quiet and it's just like, it's almost eerie. And how hard they are kicking and punching each other, the sound of it is like, makes you tense. It's insane. It's absolutely nuts. It's really cool to go back on this Paramount, in the Paramount app now and be able to go back and watch all these fights. And they've got it laid out much better than ESPN did. ESPN just like, you can actually go back and watch every UFC fight. ESPN would just like upload to a point and then stop uploading. It's very strange. I don't know if it's when their deal started or whatever, but you could go back and watch the numbered events, a week after, but it's like you can only go back so far. But you couldn't access fight nights like this. So, really cool. Really bought. Oh, frick, I'm tired. I don't even know what I was about to say. Really bomber? I don't know. Anyways, really excited for UFC this year. It's going to be awesome. Hoping to kick up the Heavy Bag Heroes content, do a little more. I'd like to start doing some segments, some of my own rankings, pound for pound rankings. Hoping to get my boy, I've said this probably on every episode in the past 20 episodes. Hoping to get my boy. Hoping to get my boy D-Row on. I was going to say this at the beginning of the podcast with the Paramount Plus stuff. Water pump. Not only has like Dana White said that there were, I forgot, 1 million signups for Paramount Plus on Fight Day for UFC 324. They had some sort of metric where they were like, people who have never watched the UFC before were watching it because they saw it on Paramount Plus, something like that. But even I had friends who would never pay for a pay-per-view. If my friends were watching UFC, it's because they were with me and I paid for it or something like that. Several of my friends who have Paramount Plus were like watching the fights tonight, and my buddy D-Row, Daniel Rowland, we always talked about UFC. He was a boxer back in the day, allegedly. He's going to love that I said that. And we always just he would catch up on the latest news. He used to watch UFC back in the day, but then just kind of stopped. I understand paying for pay-per-view is not fun. It costs a lot of money over the year. And he'd always catch it on, Twitter or Instagram. He'd catch up on stuff, watch the highlights and stuff. And we talk about it. And he texted me, he was like, I'm actually watching the fight, UFC fights for the first time in a long time. So that was cool. And then my other buddy, he was out on a duck hunt and he was like, oh, I can get it. I have Paramount Plus. I can watch UFC right now. And so he watched it, and then he's calling me. He called me the next morning at 8 o'clock, and I can't even remember what he was complaining about, but he got all wrapped up into it and wanted to talk about it. It was funny. So I think it's good. I think it's really good, and just makes it a lot easier on the wallet. Significantly easier on the wallet. So excited to be back. Heavy Bag Heroes. We're going full throttle. We're going full steam ahead. Going to try and produce a lot of content, a lot of podcast stuff, put some more videos out on YouTube. Was trying to kind of figure out the vision for, the brand, if you will, kind of what direction I want to go with it. I don't even know what direction there is. I just know that I really like to talk about UFC and love hitting my heavy bag in the garage, to be honest. It's great. It's a great workout. It's a really good workout. So, all right, everybody, stay safe. God bless. Go to church.